Alrighty, g'day guys. Welcome back to Stat Chat Sports. You're here for the weekly AFL podcast. All four of the boys on the line. Myself, Josh, BT, Steve, and Taz are here. We're going to review everything from a wild round 18 of the AFL season. There was plenty happening before we get stuck into it. If you're not subscribed to the channel, make sure you subscribe. 86% of our viewers are not subscribed to the channel. That's a great stat. So if you're not subscribed, make sure you do that. Turn on your notifications. Fellas, let's get stuck in the way that we usually do with our regular segment. Hits, misses, and hold fire. Look, there was plenty of misses this week, it's fair to say. BT, we'll get to you in a second. But Steve, let's start off with you. In the fresh new background, give us your hit for the week.
Thanks, mate. Yeah, nice new look. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about Sydney. The Sydney Swans. Nice little win there for them against Freo. Top 4 contenders in Freo, so that'd be a big confidence boost for Sydney after probably a shaky month. I'd say we've spoken about them a couple of times in probably the wrong areas for them. So yeah, for them to get a nice win there, that's pretty big for them against a team playing at home and a ground that they don't lose often at, especially this season. Big result for them.
Yeah, no, great call on Sydney. I wrote Sydney off about 3 weeks ago. I just couldn't get a handle on their form line, losing to teams they should beat. They've got some good scalps now, BT. They've got Melbourne. They've beaten Melbourne. They've beaten Freo an hour away from home, top 4 contenders. And their draw, really good to finish the year.
Yeah, I'm with you. I didn't think they were going to be pushing this top 4, but after that win, you never know with this season. That game plan they came with and just kicked Mark around the ground, kept the ball off Fremantle. Clearly worked. So that just leaves a blueprint for every other team against Fremantle now.
And they adjusted after quarter time as well. I think that was the most pleasing thing. Love it when a coaching panel just realises, look, this isn't working, fellas. Let's mix it up. Let's change it. And Sydney, after quarter time, did a number on the Doggers. So really impressive performance. Tazza, not sure if you watched this match, but a guy that I want to touch on, not just from this match, but the last few weeks, he's been really good. Chad Warner. He's shaping up as one of the absolute jets of the competition over the next few years.
Yeah, future Brownlow medalist, in my opinion.
Ooh,
I think he's got everything.
Cool.
He's got all the tools in the game. He's great in the contest. I think his disposal is great. He can hit a target, and I think that's the use of the ball plus his ability to get it is something that's really going to hold him in good stead in the future. And yeah, 100%. The world's his oyster. The AFL world is his oyster. He's going to be a star.
Yeah, no, totally agree. I think he's a jet, and they've got some good young talent in that midfield. So I think Sydney beating a top 4 team, easy call there with a hit. Fellas, we do have to mention there's a couple of teams that were stiff, most notably, and we might touch on this later, but North Melbourne, huge win. We've got a lot of North Melbourne supporters that subscribe to this channel. None more so, BT, than our man Dizzle. And it's fair to say, he was up and about, and we love that.
Oh, he was loving it. Any time North Melbourne wins, he's up and about with big Cameron Zurhaar. He was loving it.
Zurhaar for 6? I couldn't believe it. Steve, this is just unreal for Cam Zurhaar. What? Just a huge performance for North, it's got to be said.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it. I mean, many people would have had North Melbourne written off for the rest of the season, sitting more than likely bottom with just the one win. So I mean, yeah, shout out to Dizzle. You know, he's a day one subby. You know, he's always in the chat, in messaging us. You know, when North Melbourne are playing, and yeah, the notifications were just dinging. He was going off. So yeah, good on him.
Love that. And if you're North Melbourne fans, stiff on not getting the hit this week, but glad to have you on board. BT, plenty of options with the miss, and I mean plenty. There were you could have picked about 5 teams here for the miss, but I'm interested to know where you're going.
Yeah, you could have gone with St Kilda, but they've been a miss a few times.
You didn't go Saints. Are you kidding me?
Didn't go Saints. No. We spoke on North Melbourne. As much as it was a hit for them, it's definitely more of a loss for Richmond based on where they're sitting in the ladder. So that you can't throw away a game like that. They came back. North Melbourne nearly threw that game away. I think they were 6 goals up North and Richmond came flying home, but held on, and that's going to hurt Richmond, and they may struggle to make that 8th spot now.
Yeah.
What about Gold Coast? Do you say any team that loses to Essendon is a miss?
Oh, if you lose to North Melbourne, you don't deserve being the comp.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's fair enough indeed. Yeah, really troubling signs for Richmond, Tazza. And we'll touch on this later on in the video in terms of our finals predictions and whether Richmond's going to miss out or not. But 3 times in the last 4 weeks, Richmond's lost by less than a kick. That's got to be a concern if you're Dimmer Hardwick.
Yeah, when you're battling in such a confined ladder like it is now, they're the ones that just really bite you in the ass. They're the ones you rue come round 23 when everything's on the line. And yeah, they're not the team for me. Well, obviously we'll get to it, but yeah, I'd struggle to see playing the way they are. I struggle to see how they get there.
And just some real uncharacteristic errors in the last 2 minutes as well. I know from young players, I believe it was Miller kicked it out on the full, and the big one, Jake the Snake Arts. Just, I don't know if any of you guys saw the end of this match, but just unfathomable that you take a mark inside 50, 30 metres out and you play on. I mean, it's just ridiculous behaviour. And I'm not sure if he gets a spot on the list next year, and that could really cement that. I think it was just bizarre from Richmond in the last 2 minutes.
Oh, I didn't watch the game. I watched the highlights, and I think North Melbourne led 92 minutes of that game from what I looked at, and that one play from Jake Arts could literally cost them a spot in the finals. Literally that one play, and like you said, if that does, he doesn't deserve to be playing in the AFL.
Yeah, that is a huge call. But look, if there are Richmond fans out there and you agree with that statement, let us know in the comments below, because clearly you're not going to be happy with that effort. It was not a great week for Richmond. It was not a great month for Richmond, it's got to be said. So they're going to be needing a big lift if they are going to be making the 8, 100%. Tazza, over to you. The hold fire, this has become a bit more of a difficult, I guess, segment for you to fill as we get towards the end of the year, because I think we have a bit of certainty about where most teams are at now.
Yeah, the hold fire, I've usually gone with a team that's lost and we think they might bounce back the next week. And so it is getting a bit harder. And I am going to change direction again this week. And we're going to the Doggies. So Friday night, good win. They came right out of the blocks and absolutely smashed the Saints in the first half, really. But the Saints have been disappointing for a little while. Everyone's talking about the Bulldogs as being probably the 8th team at the moment. And looking ahead, I mean, there's a few moving parts in this team for me. One, the draw. So they verse Melbourne, Geelong, and Freo are their next 3 games. That's pretty tough, and they'll be lucky to get one of them, in my opinion. And from here on in, I just don't see how teams in that bracket really need to be winning probably 4, at least 3 of their remaining games. And then I think you've got Josh Bruce coming back into that team. You've got Bailey Smith coming back into the team. Like I said, a lot of moving parts, and it's going to take a little while, especially for Bruce and that forward line to come back to really start to gel again. That won't happen instantly. So I just don't see how they get it done. And I think a hold fire, we need to wait and see how they get through at least the next couple of weeks.
Well, look, this is a perfect lead into our next segment, because what I wanted to touch on is who makes the 8. So if you're looking at the ladder, I think it's pretty clear now there's 7 teams that are basically locked in that are going to play finals. They've got a 2-game buffer ahead of the teams chasing. And there's a pack of 5 teams now that are either on 9 wins or 8 wins heading into the last 5 weeks. So, Tazza, you mentioned the Bulldogs off the back of their good win. They were on 9 wins. Richmond had the chance to go further ahead. They're still on 9 wins. St Kilda dropped the ball. They're on 9. And then we've got Port Adelaide and the Gold Coast on 8 wins. So, Tazza, you're obviously knocking the Dogs. Is there a team out of that mix that you think, yes, they are my pick, they are the team that's going to get 8th spot?
I think I've just absolutely trashed both Richmond and Western Bulldogs. And looking at the rest of it, I don't think the rest are any better. So one of them's got to make it.
One of them's got to get there, though. That's the
one
problem.
of them's going to limp to the line. And I think that's what it's going to become. Purely based on the Bulldogs draw, I'm counting them out. So it's probably going to be Richmond. I think they'll find a way to turn it around. Lynch will come back into the team eventually, and they'll squeak in.
BT, who do you like?
I did the ladder predictor on the AFL app, and I came up with St Kilda and Richmond, the same points. But Richmond's got that, I think, around 10% extra percentage. And I think that's what's going to scrape them in. But who friggin' knows? All those teams could just lose a few in a row. Port Adelaide could sneak in. Gold Coast could sneak in. But if I had to put money on, I'd go with Richmond.
Yeah, I think I'll agree. Just while you were talking now, just having a look at the last 4 rounds, because it probably comes down to the draw. And I think Richmond just have slightly easier draw than the other two. So, yeah, for that reason, and probably that reason only, I'd say Richmond as well.
Okay, well, I don't want to be boring, right? I don't want to make this segment just an absolute fizz and a clean sweep. So I don't think Richmond's got the form line to get it done, particularly if they don't win Friday night against the Dockers. That is a crucial game. I don't think they're going to win it. I reckon the Doggies are going to get it done. I reckon the Doggies are going to upset either Melbourne or Geelong in the next 2 weeks because they're building, Tazza. They're building. I think Bruce back and then Norton back in the team after his COVID issues. With Jamara Ugle-Hagan playing third fiddle, that forward line's going to start to figure itself out. And Bont is just hitting peak form right now. He is getting back to that level last year, which saw him runner up in the Brownlow. I think the Dogs are a smoky. And I just think Richmond are falling apart at the wrong end of the year. I don't know. I don't know, but I like the Doggies coming home with a wet sail, but it's going to come right down to the wire, fellas.
Yeah, the Bulldogs, I mean, they're getting the parts back, and I think that's the biggest thing. If it just remains to be seen if they can figure it out and how quickly they do figure it out and get all these parts moving in one cohesive machine, I suppose. I mean, we know how good they can be. It's just, can they get the ball rolling super quick? Because they need to. I mean, they could probably afford to, like you said, if they get one of Melbourne or Geelong, then they're right in it. Do they win this one? If they win this one, then they're right in the thick of it. And then they have, it probably becomes a non-negotiable that they have to beat a Geelong or a Freo or both, depending on other fixtures.
Yeah, I think 12 wins is going to get it done this year. 12 wins will get you in that final 8 spot.
The only knock I have on Bulldogs is with Alex Keith going down on Friday night, their fullback, they're lacking a bit of depth down there. And they've clearly, like you said, with Norton and Bruce, will be playing together for hopefully the rest of the season. And their midfield's starting to hit a bit of form. It's whether they can hold up these other forwards. That's the only worry I have with them. They could obviously have the ability to make it far in the finals. They know how to play under pressure, but that's the only knock I have on them.
All right, so there you go. It's going to be a really interesting race to the finish. And, there's 5 teams that could be in it. Saints are still in with a chance if they pull it together. And the Suns and Port Adelaide, they're a game back, but it's still anybody's game. So if you've got any thoughts on the matter, let us know in the comments below which team you think is going to snag that final spot in the 8.